America, we love our cars, we love that new car smell, we love that feeling of cruising down the highway. And lately, we've been really into leasing those cars, it's true. Leasing is more popular than ever. But why? Well, leasing can seem pretty appealing. It often means lower monthly payments. You get to drive a brand new car every few years. And who wants to be stuck with an old clunker anyway? But hold your horses, folks. Leasing isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There are some downsides you need to know about. Think of it like this. Leasing a car is like renting an apartment. You get to use it for a while, but it's not really yours. You have to follow the landlord's rules, and there might be some unexpected fees if you're not careful. So, before you sign on the dotted line, let's take a closer look at the pros and cons of leasing. We'll break it down, nice and easy, just like how we explain complicated political scandals, except this time it's about cars. Let's face it, folks, that new car smell is intoxicating. And leasing lets you experience it more often. You're essentially paying for the depreciation of the car, not the whole value. This means lower monthly payments compared to buying. That's right, more money in your pocket for avocado toast. Another perk, you can say goodbye to long-term commitments. Lease terms are typically shorter than loans, usually around 2 to 4 years. So, you can trade in your ride for the latest and greatest model every few years. It's like having the newest iPhone, but, a car. And here's the cherry on top. Leasing often requires little to no down payment. That's right, you can drive off the lot without emptying your bank account. Just be prepared for those monthly payments, which, by the way, we'll discuss later. Okay folks, time for a reality check. Leasing isn't all sunshine and new car smell. Just like that time you rented an apartment and the landlord wouldn't let you have a pet goldfish. Leasing comes with restrictions. First up, mileage limits. Leases typically come with a set number of miles you can drive per year. Go over that limit? Be prepared to pay extra fees. And trust us, those fees can add up faster than campaign promises during an election year. Then there's the issue of damage. Remember that time you accidentally spilled coffee on your laptop? Yeah, those little mishaps can cost you big time when you're leasing. Any dents, scratches, or stains beyond normal wear and tear can result in hefty fees when you return the car. And perhaps the biggest downside of all, you don't own the car. When your lease is up, you have to give it back. There's no trade-in value, no equity to build. It's like renting a tuxedo for prom night. You look fancy for a while, but you're left with nothing but memories, and maybe some awkward dance moves. Attention business owners. Leasing a car isn't just for individuals. It can be a strategic move for your company too. One word, tax deductions. Leasing a vehicle for business purposes often comes with tax benefits. You can deduct a portion of your lease payments, which can save you some serious cash come tax season. Plus, you can impress clients by picking them up in a brand new car. First impressions matter, people. Another perk? Leasing allows you to keep your fleet updated with the latest models. This is especially beneficial for businesses that rely on their vehicles for transportation or deliveries. Just imagine a fleet of shiny new delivery vans with your company logo on the side. Talk about good advertising. But, and this is a big but, the same downsides of personal leasing apply to business leasing. Mileage limits, damage fees, and the lack of ownership equity are still factors to consider. So before you sign on the dotted line, make sure you've crunched the numbers and weighed the pros and cons. Section 5, Electric versus Gas. The leasing equation changes. The great debate, electric vehicles versus gas guzzlers. It's a topic that can spark more arguments than a political debate on Twitter. But when it comes to leasing, the equation gets even more interesting. Leasing an electric vehicle often comes with lower monthly payments compared to their gas-powered counterparts. Why? Government incentives and tax credits, baby. These incentives are designed to encourage people to make the switch to electric. Plus, electric vehicles typically have lower maintenance costs because, well, they don't have an engine that runs on explosions. However, electric vehicles usually have higher upfront costs. This is where leasing can be a game changer. By leasing, you're not on the hook for the full purchase price, making electric vehicles more accessible to a wider range of drivers. It's like test driving the future of transportation without breaking the bank. But before you trade in your gas guzzler, consider this. Electric vehicle charging infrastructure is still developing. If you're constantly on the road, finding charging stations can be a challenge. And range anxiety is a real thing, folks. No one wants to be stranded on the side of the road with a dead battery. Section 6. Leasing in the real world. Show me the money and the mileage charges. Alright, enough with the hypotheticals. Let's talk numbers, people. The average monthly lease payment for a new car in the US is around $525. But remember, this is just an average. Your actual payments will vary depending on the make, model, and terms of your lease. Now let's talk about those dreaded fees. Mileage overage charges typically range from 10 to 25 cents per mile. So, if you go over your allotted mileage by, say, 5,000 miles, you could be looking at an extra $500 to $1,250 at the end of your lease. Ouch! Damage fees can also put a dent in your wallet, pun intended. A minor scratch could cost you a few $100s, while a major dent could set you back thousands. And don't even get us started on those upholstery stains. Let's just say it's best to avoid eating spaghetti in your leased car. Section 7. Dealership versus third-party leasing. Where to sign on the dotted line. So you've decided to take the plunge and lease a car. Congratulations. Now the question is, where do you go to sign on the dotted line? You have two main options: dealerships and third-party financial institutions. Dealerships are often the most convenient option. You're already there, looking at cars, and they have finance departments ready to set you up with a lease. Plus, dealerships often offer special lease promotions and incentives that you won't find elsewhere. Third-party financial institutions, such as banks and credit unions, offer another avenue for leasing. They may have different interest rates and lease terms than dealerships, so it's worth shopping around to compare offers. Plus, you can often pre-qualify for a lease online, which can save you time and hassle. No matter which route you choose, remember to read the fine print carefully. Pay attention to the interest rate, lease term, mileage limits, and any fees associated with the lease. And don't be afraid to negotiate. Just like when you're buying a car, you can often haggle on the price and terms of your lease. Section 8. Questions to ask before you lease. Don't be afraid to negotiate. Before you sign on the dotted line and drive off into the sunset with your leased car, there are some crucial questions you need to ask. Think of it as a pre-lease interrogation, but instead of a bright light and a bad cop, it's just you, the lease agreement, and hopefully a pen that works. First and foremost, what are the terms of the lease? How long is the lease term? What's the interest rate? Are there any upfront fees or down payment requirements? These are all essential details that will affect your monthly payments and the overall cost of the lease. Next up, mileage limits. How many miles are you allowed to drive per year? What's the penalty for exceeding the limit? If you have a long commute or frequently take road trips, you'll want to make sure the mileage allowance fits your lifestyle. And what about end-of-lease options? Do you have the option to buy the car at the end of the lease? If so, what's the purchase price? Can you terminate the lease early? Understanding your options at the end of the lease can save you from any surprises down the road. Finally, don't be afraid to negotiate. Just like when you're buying a car, you can often haggle on the price and terms of your lease. Ask for a lower interest rate, a higher mileage allowance, or waive certain fees. The worst they can say is no, and you might be surprised at what you can get if you just ask. Section 9. Leasing, the final verdict. Is it right for you? So, after all that, is leasing the right choice for you? Well folks, it's complicated. Leasing can be a good option for drivers who want lower monthly payments, a new car every few years, and don't want the hassle of selling or trading in their vehicle. However, leasing comes with restrictions such as mileage limits and potential fees for damage. And at the end of the lease, you don't own the car. It's like renting a tuxedo for prom night. You look fancy for a while, but you're left with nothing but memories and maybe some awkward dance moves. Ultimately, the decision to lease or buy depends on your individual needs and financial situation. If you're unsure which option is right for you, talk to a financial advisor. They can help you crunch the numbers and make the best decision for your wallet. And remember folks, whether you lease or buy, always read the fine print. You don't want to be caught off guard by hidden fees or unexpected charges. Stay informed, negotiate like a pro, and drive safe.